do you want me to come in and help you change? And
Not unless you want to see what the storks are.
Yeah. I was like, that's a clever way of a dick joke. That's fine. I'm there with you.
In this neighborhood,
This is an emergency. He's out of school for the summer.
where people cherish peace and quiet,
Won't get a moment of peace.
there lives a kid named Dennis.
Hey, Mr. Wilson!
Tell him I'm sick.
I won't fib for you, George.
Hi, Mrs. Wilson. Is Mr. Wilson here? Doesn't Mr. Wilson get up real early?
Usually.
You know what I do? When my dad's asleep, he doesn't want to be.
Well,
Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson. He feels warm. You need an aspirin.
Now, John Hughes brings one of your all-time favorite cartoon characters to life
smile.
for a whole new generation to discover.
Don't embarrass me.
You'll love Mr. Wilson,
That kid, he's a menace.
Mrs. Wilson, the Mitchells, Margaret,
We could bury you alive. I could pound your face.
Joey, Switchblade Sam, and a menace named Dennis.
Kids are kids. You have to play by their rules. You have to roll with the punches. You have to expect the unexpected.
Dennis the Menace,
That's me.
America's classic kid in a classic American comedy. Directed by Nick Castle, a John Hughes production.
So I see that you have 4 pages of notes in front of you. Are any of them an apology to me
No.
for making me endure Switchblade Sam for an hour and a half?
I didn't even know that was his name until looking at the IMDb. I had never known. They don't
really make references.
No.
He's a guy with a switchblade.
He's
They never say
Christopher
Sam.
Lloyd. He's Christopher Lloyd.
That is not Christopher Lloyd. That is not my Christopher Lloyd. He may be Mount Rushmore of most evil bad guys in kids movies. He is horrifying.
He's terrifying. I have a stat right out of the gates about that.
Yeah.
So, according to Christopher Lloyd, after filming the scene where his character spears Gunther's apple with his switchblade,
Yep.
the young actor was so frightened of Lloyd that he wouldn't approach him the rest of the movie.
Yeah. Accurate response.
Yeah, that seems to be appropriate.
Is that your memory of this movie? Is like remembering how horrifying he is, or was he not?
No, I thought he was fun. I mean, it was kind of funny because Dennis bests him throughout the end of the movie.
Right.
But watching that trailer, that might be the worst trailer I've ever seen for any movie ever. There are scenes that are not in the movie.
Yep.
It doesn't add up.
No.
The narrator says you'll end up loving Mr. Wilson. That's the takeaway.
And that all the characters kind of seem like they're equally, like it's an even slate between all the characters,
Right.
even though some of them you barely see at all.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bad trailer.
Bad trailer, worst movie.
So, okay, so that's what I'm wondering. I was asking my sister, how many times have we seen this movie?
Yeah.
And she was like, I don't know. I also don't remember specifically watching it, just that it was always on.
Okay.
Like it wasn't like, ooh, every Christmas we dial it up. It was just on constantly.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like this is your Labyrinth, where
It might be.
I have seen this so many times.
We were doing the exact opposite experience, I think.
So then I want to get your take, because for me, watching this, it's like an old hoodie that you know is ugly, but you don't.
This is your ugly kid.
It's so comfortable. You're just like, I didn't even have to watch the movie.
Yeah.
I knew every scene. I knew every word. I knew what was going on. I could quote the whole thing.
Wow.
I don't like this movie. I love this movie. This movie to me is
You need to go on
Amazing.
IMDb and be one of those user reviews that writes the like 3-paragraph essay about their love for this movie. Like that,
I could.
You need to. You need to add to the.
So am I jaded from my youth? Do you hate this movie? Because you didn't watch this growing up, or you don't remember watching it?
If I watched it, like I know I have a bad memory, but I don't know that I ever watched this because in my mind it was. I was like, oh, I know that it's a movie. And it feels like something I've seen, but as I watched it, it never clicked. So I was like, maybe I never actually watched this. I think the movie itself is fine. It's a fine kids movie. I think Switchblade Sam is a fucking nightmare. I think
he's terrifying.
He is so aggressively
gross,
scary, and gross for how like nice and light that movie is. And I am not the only person who thought this.
Roger.
Oh, Roger comes in strong on my, and we're linked arm in arm in this. 2.5 out of 5 stars. So similar, I think Labyrinth was 2.5 out of 5 stars too. He says the best parts of the movie are those in which Dennis' games and plans go astray, often in the direction of Mr. Wilson. The worst parts involve an unnecessary and ambiguous subplot involving an ominous drifter named Switchblade Sam, which up until that reading this review, I didn't realize that was his name, who menaces the little boy. 30 or 40 years ago, in the innocence of a Capra movie, I might have been able to accept this character who is a thief and threatens Dennis with a knife. These days, characters like that make me feel extremely uneasy when they are around small children, and I would imagine a lot of smaller children may have been disturbed by the movie. The movie is classified PG for comedic mischief. Maybe it should have been PG-13 in view of the way younger viewers may interpret a dangerous guy hanging around the neighborhood and picking on kids. There's a lot to like in Dennis the Menace, but Switchblade Sam prevents me from recommending it. So he flat out says, I cannot recommend this movie.
I like the movie, but he drops it down.
He absolutely does. This movie is not a 2.5. It's a 3. Maybe you could creep it up to 3.5 with enough arguing. Switchblade Sam drags that down at least a star. He is a nightmare.
And then at the end too, when he is so like bludgeoned and has all the welts on him,
God.
He looks like he's growing horns out of his head. It's gnarly.
This is one of those things where, again, I need to have been in the room for production where like they were doing the first rounds of like, what should he look like? What should his name be? And there's no way this was the first take. Like someone's in the background, maybe even John Hughes. Worse, make him look scarier. Like go further.
His greasy hair, his teeth, everything about him.
Part of him.
Wow, you couldn't have just made him a dude? You had to make him the worst looking dude
and Christopher
ever?
Lloyd's just kind of an interesting person as is. I don't think you need to do much to him to like put him in. Even that outfit is like, I don't like that outfit. And then on top of it, the teeth, the hair, everything. You're just like, put him in a horror movie. Put this guy in Saw. I do not want him in Dennis the Menace.
I think you have to juxtapose how clean and wholesome the town is, and like Dennis is this tiny little blonde boy. Mm-hmm. But wow, you really get the extremes.
He absolutely. If I would have seen this as a kid, you could have used Switchblade Sam to convince me not to do anything. Like, oh, you better brush your teeth. You're gonna look like Switchblade Sam. Don't hang out in the yard because Switchblade Sam's coming to
turn
take your
the lights out, or Switchblade Sam will come get you.
So let's go to taglines and plots. We got 2 I found. When his parents have to go out of town, Dennis stays with Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. The little menace is driving Mr. Wilson crazy, but Dennis is just trying to be helpful, even to the thief who's arrived in town. Which, yep. And the other one was on the movie poster. He's armed, he's adorable, and he's out of school for the entire summer. That's more like just like any kind of kids movie. It seems like you could pitch that could be on any movie.
I saw those too.
Yeah.
Plots done poorly.
I said an adorable 5-year-old is obsessed with a crotchety old neighbor. Mm-hmm. Hilarity ensues. Listen, you got Walter Matthau and Christopher Lloyd in a children's movie. What more do you want?
I refuse. You know how there are some actors who just embolden the character so much you don't realize that they're that actor anymore. You think a Hook. Like that is everyone who's in that movie.
Is he Doc Brown for you? So you just can't see him as anyone else?
It's not even about Doc Brown. It's about Switchblade Sam is so horrifying. I cannot attach him to Christopher Lloyd. Like he's a real person that's just out there.
Okay, this is a character that is not.
He entered this movie and left, and I cannot put him on Christopher Lloyd's resume. He's a nightmare. I said for plots done poorly, Dennis the Menace, more like Dennis the little fuckface.
Wow. He's not that bad, I don't think.
He's not that bad. I wrote it early on.
Okay. after the aspirin in the throat.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's take it from the top.
1993.
Yeah.
PG, which you alluded to,
Yeah, on
although
Netflix.
Roger disagrees.
Right.
It is on Netflix. An hour and 35 minutes, 5.6 on IMDb, 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. I would say this. I don't disagree with that, but watching this movie, I just loved every minute of it.
Every minute of it.
From the characters.
From the second Switchblade Sam came in, you were like, I am full board on.
I kind of ignore him. Like, he's just this ominous guy in the background coming to do things. But once you've seen the movie, you're like, all right, I know Dennis gets the better of you. So I'm not too concerned.
You're watching him going, I'm taking the good with the bad. I'm going,
But I don't
everyone
love
sees him, right?
I don't love him. If he had like a giant like silhouette of his wiener sticking out, I wouldn't be like, oh man.
He was one more revision in that movie from doing that. He gave me the same suspenseful like twist on my stomach as Blank Check, as like when's he coming? Oh no, it's gonna happen, isn't it? Like I
didn't pay attention to that at all because he's just kind of like, he pops up throughout the movie. He's there at the end. He's very quickly dispersed by Dennis, and then we just ride off into the sunset.
Yeah.
I did look to see if this movie won awards. It did. But not the good kind.
Oh no.
Mason Gamble, the actor that plays Dennis, won a Razzie for Worst New Star and Young Artist.
That's rough.
So,
I thought he was adorable and fine.
I did too. And I'm sure, I couldn't find this now, but I swear I saw this before, which has to mean it's true, that he very clearly could not read at that age. So he had to memorize all his lines. And I'm sure that is a point of other young actors.
Right.
But I paid close attention to it. His delivery and everything too was really impressive.
Yeah.
How he emotes, how his reactions to things were really funny.
See, I thought that was almost like that was all deliberately a choice for him to talk and his cadence and everything. So I was like, this is very much its own thing, and he's his own little guy. So that surprises me that he got the Razzie of all the things that happened.
But he did win Young Artist Award for Best Youth Actor in a Leading Role as well.
So it's a wash.
The yin and the yang. And then it was a nominee for Stinker's Bad Movie Awards, Worst Resurrection of a TV Show.
Wow.
So not very glowing reviews at the time.
Was it the same guy that reviewed Wizard of Oz, the Stinkeroo? Like
maybe. It could have been. Doubtful, but.
So director is Nick Castle. So I dove a little bit of Major Payne fame. He also wrote the screen story for Hook.
Really?
Is what I found. And then also our writer John Hughes. So right off the gate, that you can't miss that.
And something blew my mind. We're jumping way ahead.
Go for it.
But as far as John Hughes goes, what other popular John Hughes kids movie? Home Alone. Mm-hmm. Did you know that there are 4 actors in this movie that are also in Home Alone? Do you know all 4?
I don't know all 4, no. But I was like, that's a home. So I picked up on a few of them.
Okay, so name the ones you got.
I don't know their names. I know the old lady and the old man who run the garden show.
I never knew that.
Well, so I just recognized them. I didn't know. I was like, they're on Home Alone, but I don't know what.
The dangly earrings in the airport.
Yes.
She's got a whole box full of them, dangly ones.
Yeah.
When I read that, I was like, really? And then it was like a vision where I saw, I'm like, oh my God, that's them, the people in the airport.
I didn't connect who they were in Home Alone, but I was like, they're in that movie. I just don't know what.
I couldn't, I never, and I've seen this movie so many times, never thought of that.
Right. Them too. Buzz.
Okay. Buzz, obviously, who plays Mickey. Tremendous role. What a good job.
His hair.
Oh, so good.
I don't know who the fourth one is, I don't think.
It's a dark horse.
Okay.
The first girl that they call for a babysitter for Dennis.
The duck phone?
Before the duck phone.
Okay.
She is a sister of Kevin's.
Wow.
I watched it again just to see, like, I'm pretty sure that was her. And so she doesn't even say a line. She just picks up the phone. Okay.
Oh, got
goes
it.
Like, hello. Yeah. I guess she does say hello. And then just hangs up her phone and makes a face. Like, fat chance. I'm not watching your son.
I just like right from the jump, they get out of the way the Dennis the Menace lines. Someone said you got to get it in.
Yeah, you're leaning into it hard.
Listen, we don't want anybody to confuse this. Say the name of the movie. Say the name of the kid.
Hey, Mr. Wilson.
Hey, Mr. Wilson. That kid's a menace. Get it in there.
Yep.
Let the people know.
Which, have you ever used that term before?
Menace?
Yeah.
No. Unless there was a menace to society
Okay.
while drinking your juice in the hood.
Exactly. Right. That's the only time I believe. So just in movies or comic strips do I say the word menace.
No.
It doesn't seem to come up in my daily vernacular.
No. And immediately my first thought is just, why are they letting this little asshole just come in and out of the house? Free as he pleases.
Yeah, he climbs into the doggy door too at home.
Yeah. Like that's just common every day. It's Tuesday. Here he comes. And Mrs. Wilson says, yeah, go on upstairs. Go wake his old ass up. Go ahead.
Go for it.
Whatever you please. I'm busy.
That's one of my questions.
Yeah.
Why doesn't Mr. Wilson just lock his bedroom door?
Especially because this is years of this.
Or tell him to go away.
Right.
So you pretend you're asleep. That's your go-to.
Yeah.
Just I'd be like, no, get out.
Hey, look him dead in his eyes.
You think he won't listen?
Yeah.
You're not a nice guy.
Yeah, you're the adult.
I better listen.
Yeah, send his ass out of there. And also, for a clothing choice, the overalls with no shirt underneath, that can't be comfortable. That's got to change.
It's a bold move.
Yeah.
Well, it's summer.
Yeah. I mean, I guess. After that point, he started wearing a shirt, but I was like, that can't be comfortable.
It's still early in the morning, so maybe he just woke up. That was on his floor. He threw it on.
Yeah, we'll let him slide on that.
We're not sure.
Yeah. But in minutes, like 10 minutes into the movie, I'm like, this little pain in the ass. Like, yes, you know what? Menace isn't the word that comes to mind, but he is. He's a little pain in the ass. Like,
and I think because he's so cute, it's tough for me to fully be like, oh, I don't like this kid at all.
Yeah.
He's adorable. Some of the choices he makes aren't great. I'll admit that.
He's a pest.
He's not.
It's that thing of, if it was my own kid doing it, I'd be like, well, this is my sweet little angel. But someone else's kid, I'd be like, get your little ass out of my house.
Yeah.
Adorable or not.
Yeah. He does a lot of things that I would frown upon as a neighbor or a parent.
Mm-hmm.
But I blame his parents as well.
Well, listen.
The slingshot. How did he procure the slingshot? Because his parents seem to be surprised when they're like, a slingshot? You have a slingshot?
Yeah.
Give it to me. You're not aware that your 5-year-old has a slingshot? And then in the middle of them scolding him about said slingshot, they said he has to go to Margaret's. He starts complaining and they hand the slingshot back to him, which I didn't notice again.
No, I did not notice
before watching this a 42nd time or whatever. And so they hand it back to him mid-conversation. Later in the movie, he finds his slingshot on the shelf in the garage. That's why he drops the paint.
Yep.
So mixed signals, Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Is he allowed to have this or no? If you don't want him to have it, freaking break the slingshot.
Yeah. Get rid of it. It's wood. It's
it
not
looks like a
steel.
legit slingshot.
Yeah. Yeah. An interesting choice for a kid that is otherwise known as the town asshole. But you can only be a good parent in so many movies. Leah Thompson, the mom from Back to the Future, with the Christopher Lloyd connection, you know, she's our mom yet again. And her and Mr. Mitchell, just swinging and missing. I feel like so many opportunities where I'm getting angry at Dennis, but then I'm going, where the hell? What? Someone call DCFS.
Where's the parenting?
Like,
oh, they're gone on business again. There's no one, and then when they're home, they're going out on dates. Apparently, you need babysitters.
I said, you're just letting Dennis go where the hell he wants. I'm calling DCFS. This is bullshit.
Maybe it's not Dennis the Menace. Maybe it's just absent parents.
Maybe this is Dennis, the product of bad parenting.
There you have it.
Not as snappy of a title, but makes more sense.
But I get it.
And Mr. Wilson from the jump, obviously he's a curmudgeon, but he's really got his undies in a twist in this one.
In Grumpy Old Men, he's like playfully grumpy.
Yeah.
This, he's just an asshole.
Yeah, he's a flat out asshole. Yeah.
Like some of the things he says are funny. Like one of my favorite quotes is when he's talking about Gunther being cross-eyed.
Oh my God.
And so when he says like, he's a foot short for his age of cross-eyed, disappointment's going to be a big part of his life. That's a funny line. Yeah. On the flip side of that, he says some really awful things to his own wife.
Yes.
Which does not go over well.
Uh-huh.
Martha is talking about being a good mother.
Oh my God. Yes.
And Mr. Wilson says, well, I would have made a swell fireman.
I flat out, like, I had two reactions once. I laughed because of the line and the delivery, and then also gasped because I was like, damn.
She is just.
Damn, George. This is getting heavy, this conversation.
She's pouring her soul, and he's just like,
oh, go fuck off.
Oh, man. He kind of deserved what he had coming to him.
Yeah.
And then he follows it up later with saying, you know, not having children was out of both their hands.
Mm-hmm.
What were the circumstances? And so if she couldn't have kids, maybe don't, you know, bring that up in an argument while you're falling asleep. That like, well, this isn't my fault.
and in my mind, I'm going, okay, this movie's taking a heavy turn. We're getting into some real dark themes.
Yeah.
And that made me go back like, so if you can't have kids, I mean, I guess everyone's different. Everyone's journey's different. But my thought is like, wouldn't you be like, oh, we can't have kids. Like, we're going to be the sweet old folks who like love and you know, are the kind ones.
I guess not.
I mean, they're letting Dennis come over all the time. So you know what? Their hearts are open.
I think because Martha is a nice human being.
That's true.
I don't know that George is.
Martha's she's doll.
solid.
And it's the back and forth starts in the beginning of the movie. You've got Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Wilson going back and forth. Mr. Wilson's mad at Mr. Mitchell. He's letting the kid come over whenever he pleases. And the dad is like guilting him like he should let Dennis come over whenever he wants. I was like, what is this conversation? Like, keep your damn kid in your own yard. Come on.
Well, he says I will. And Mr. Wilson's like, I'm not trying to be a grump. Like, well, all right. But we know what you are.
Yeah. And right in the beginning, we're laying the foreshadowing on thick because Mr. Wilson has this plant that only blooms every 40 years.
Correct.
And he's so excited about it. And I said, I don't like the look of this. There's a lot of conversation about this plant. And I know something's afoot.
It is.
With that little devil Dennis.
Did you know that is based on a real plant?
When they were telling that story, it did ring like true of a random fact I had heard at one point.
I think I looked it up. I think they're combining two different plants.
Okay.
There is an orchid that blooms only by moonlight.
Okay.
There is also another flower that takes 40 years to bloom. It's the corpse flower.
Oh, is that the one that really smells like garbage?
Yeah, smells like rotten flesh. Yeah. And that does take 40 years.
Okay.
So I think they combined two different flowers. Probably because like, this is the gross corpse flower. Look how ugly and smelly this is. They probably wanted something to be a little bit nicer. But still, it is kind of like a real thing. So this was like his life's work. 40 years, that's a big commitment.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
And I'd be upset too.
But also, that's one of the things that I find problematic with this, that Mr. Wilson is upset that Dennis like ruined his moment. Mm-hmm. Also, he just pointed out that Mr. Wilson got robbed. Is that Dennis's fault?
Right. That's true.
Probably not. Maybe have a different combination than your address for your safe. Maybe that's the real problem here.
That's one of
Don't be an idiot.
You're getting angry at me when you need to be angry at yourself.
And I look, their address is in the address book, 1618.
Yeah.
That's not a tough one to crack. If I were Switchblade Sam, as gross as I was, I think I might be able to figure that out.
Switchblade Sam, who doesn't know how to use a toothbrush.
He got it.
He could crack that safe, no problem. When Dennis's mom drops Dennis off at Margaret's house, when he just goes limp in the yard, I said, I know this form of nonviolent protest all too well. This rings 100% true.
Yeah, it hit close to home. As a parent now, you're like, that little son of...
You knew there were some parents in the writer's room for that one.
And it's really tough to pull him in after that. Like, what do you do? Dead weight.
Yeah.
I don't care how strong you are.
It wins because you look like an asshole because you're just dragging a limp kid. Right. You don't want to hurt them, but you're also like on display for everyone.
She's wearing a dress and heels. That's not easy.
No, that's
I've never worn either, but I can imagine.
Soon after that, you get the Gunther line, and I was just both parts like laughing and just like, damn, Mr. Wilson.
He went for it. We still, my sisters and I will text each other that gif of Gunther going, like whenever we can. It's so good.
But Mrs. Wilson, she's not innocent of all charges either because they're playing hide and seek.
Yeah.
Mr. Wilson says, I used to be great at hide and seek.
This is one of my favorite quotes.
Mrs. Wilson replies, I wouldn't think you'd be much good at hiding. Weren't you a fat boy?
Yeah.
I was like, well, the two of you, we're the two old guys from the Muppets that razz each other. I'm like, was this what we're watching here?
I thought it was funny.
It was great, but I was like, damn, the both of you.
Husky.
That's what I was saying. For all the parts later, you get a Mrs. Wilson who's just a sweetheart. She's got a gun in her pocket too. She's ready to go. I think anytime.
He had it coming.
That's true.
I'm all right with her giving him a little bit of shit.
Yeah. You get Alice, and she's showing her work situation. She's pitching in this meeting. She's dealing with this. I thought was her boss, but I think it's just her coworker, maybe.
I don't know. It's all men in the room except for one other woman.
Right. And she's harder on her than anyone else in the room.
Yeah.
And she absolutely, in the middle of Alice talking, is like, when my son and I go to the mall, she cuts her off and says, can you spare us the family anecdotes in the meeting full of people?
Yeah.
Like,
a little rough.
Lady.
Yep.
I'm getting somewhere.
Lighten up.
Yeah.
I got a point.
I'm not bringing up a random thing. Yeah. This has pertinence.
This is one of the things that went over my head
until
maybe this viewing. She's talking about her plans of having the toy store on the 3rd floor.
Right.
She's saying the point is you have to take the kids up 2 other floors.
Mm-hmm.
This is an opportunity to attract these parents or kids to these other stores.
Smart.
And so she's saying if it's on the 3rd floor, it takes 2 floors to get there. And then she says, that's apparent to anyone with children. And my head as a child, I would hear that's a parent.
Right.
It's just that's apparent, as in like that's visible, that's noticeable, that's obvious.
Yeah.
And watching it now, I'm like, oh, that's what she meant. I don't know that I never understood that line, and now I'm like,
I'll make
got
sense.
it. Okay.
See, this is why we revisit these childhood
That's
classics.
why I watch it 85 times, including
to finally
adult.
get these. Yeah. After that, there's one of my favorite parts of the movie is the conversation between all the kids talking about men and women going back and forth.
So
and I was
good.
like, this is like legit funny, this whole scene. And one of the lines I wrote down is, if you didn't have men, who would drive you to the hospital?
Yes.
Like all that back and forth. I was like, this is a damn roast fest over here.
Yeah, and Margaret's saying, you know why men are so lousy when it comes to taking care of babies? And Dennis says, because they have better things to do. And then she follows it up. Like what? Play golf and drink beer? No, like hunting, having wars, driving cars, shaving, cleaning fish. Do you know how to do any of that? And Joey goes, me?
Yeah.
Margaret. It's so good.
Yeah.
Like the writing on this is really funny.
Moments like that totally redeem the lesser parts that concern me with this movie. But that
Or Joey's
snap fest.
Or Margaret's saying, we could put on a play or a puppet show.
Yeah.
And Joey says, I could bury you alive.
I must have missed that line totally.
It's so good.
Shit. Yeah, that was good. It was one of my favorite parts. But then I wrote down, they're getting real deep with like the gender roles and what they do and pregnancy and stuff. I was like, but equally like
where babies come from,
actually busting each other up. I was like, my ass, these kids are 5 years old.
Yeah, they do seem elevated in their knowledge
They're 7
of everything.
at least.
Agreed. They're reading at like a 5th grade level.
But then this is when we're introduced to Switchblade Sam, and my nightmare begins. One of the first things that immediately made me uncomfortable with them is seeing, which you're not used to. I mean, back then, it's no problem. You see all the time. Just seeing the villain or somebody smoke in a kid's movie. I was like, okay, all right.
You know he's up to no good.
He is up
because
to no
good guy would smoke.
No. You hear that, kids?
Yeah. That's right.
Dare works.
We vape, all right?
Yeah, the remake of this movie, Switchblade Sam, is definitely vaping. Yeah. But immediately I just keep I'll show you my notes. I just keep writing down, I hate Christopher Lloyd in this. He's so he keeps just making me so uncomfortable every scene he's in. But this is where we start to get, we see Buzz, Natasha Lyonne. You're seeing some nice cameos that pop up. So it's distracting me. It's comforting me again. Dennis is adorable. He's a cute kid. He's being silly. I'm forgetting about Switchblade Sam.
Just for a moment.
And then he rears his wispy-headed, horrible teeth, face.
Oily.
Oh my! Yeah, he's so sweaty all the time.
Good God!
Listen, I know you hop the trains, but you know where
you could bathe in a pond or something. Anything would be an improvement.
Yeah, Switchblade Sam. You could get. This is why your nickname is Switchblade Sam.
Yeah.
You could reinvent yourself.
A little makeover.
Yeah.
Or a bar of soap would go a long way.
Yeah, a little self-care, Sam. Once we see Buzz, he comes in. He's watching Dennis in the bathtub.
Oh,
first
this
of
is
all,
one of my favorite scenes.
First of all, far too much water in the bathtub. It's
immediately. I'm so glad I wrote that down. Like, how this is chest height? How much water is in this tub?
We got like 2 inches clearance on the top.
Their water bill is going to be out of control. That is way too high, and you're spilling it all over.
See, you go straight to finance. I go to the mess, and I'm like, I'm not cleaning this shit up.
I mean, I'm not a fan of that either.
Yeah, but the finances are definitely a concern.
But first and foremost, what is their water bill? Because I'm assuming he seems to enjoy baths.
Yeah, he's taking them all throughout the movie.
I don't like it.
And Buzz is reading him a book.
Yes.
He's kind of struggling. Yes. But he says, as they're going back and forth, he drops a deep line. What's the point of reading lies?
Yes. How can a train grow? I laugh so hard at that. Which is a good point. Some of these kids' movies are ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, like, what's the point in reading lies? It's like, so the trains eat all their coal, you get plenty of sleep.
He's obviously been told what the lesson of the book is, what the moral is. So he's ready to answer Buzz's very direct questions. But I thought it was a little deep. What's the point of reading lines? It's a fair question, Buzz, and I'm with you there.
Him reading all the words wrong too, though, is just so good.
This is my question for you. He is struggling with the word in that book.
Sababed.
What is the word he
said?
Sobbed?
Yeah, sobbed Huffy.
Sabatuffi? Sababatuffi?
Yeah, sobbed Huffy. So he goes, Sababed Huffy.
If you would have said, I'll give you $100 to tell me what he was trying to say there, I would not have been able to make that money.
They flash the page too, so you can see it says sobbed Huffy.
So then
he also says sobbed, I think.
Okay.
Again, I've seen this so many times.
I'm here with the historian.
I can probably read the book from my memory.
Yeah, Sababatuffi I also had a Sababatuffi time with because I could not understand what the fuck he was trying to say.
I get it.
Yeah. Buzz and Natasha Leon on the couch.
So Mickey and Polly.
Thank you, Mickey and Polly. See, this is why you gotta have a historian on hand. They're on the couch making out.
Sure are.
Both have gum in their mouth.
Yeah. Also, this was a pro and a con for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed with the hand placement. It was not in a bad spot.
Not inappropriate for PG?
No, it was because it is PG.
Yeah.
Very appropriate.
Okay.
And I read this was Natasha.
So Mickey's a gentleman.
Clearly. And he combs his hair. He cares.
Yeah.
Dennis says that she's sweating because he's such a stud. And he's like, oh, he's not making fun of her.
That's
he's
true.
a gentleman, all right?
That's fair.
So things happen.
Yeah.
He understands that. When this was her first makeout or first kiss on film, apparently.
Okay.
When she pulls him, he very clearly goes to like her shoulder.
Yeah.
Like they're not even pretending making out. It's just like, all right, let's go through the motions here.
Exactly.
So that to me was funny. And I'm like, all right, it's sticking to the PG. No reason to like raunch it up for one scene for no reason.
Yeah.
It's funny.
But being Kevin McAllister's brother pays off because Buzz tacks on the, he puts the tack on the doorbell to rear away any.
And is that a move to
scamps?
throw water on them and then dump flour in their face?
That's great. I enjoyed that. That's just
it's a good move, I guess. That's the first and only time I've ever seen that.
That's like the kids' version of like Tarred and Feathered, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
But I have not witnessed that, nor have I seen or heard of that. This is an only instance where I'm just like, oh, sure, you could do that.
Yeah. And that scene happens, and then Mr. Wilson's reaction is to get mad at Dennis for that. And that, I'm like, listen, that's misplaced anger.
Right.
Dennis's house, sure.
Yeah.
You clearly saw that wasn't Dennis, and he wasn't in two places at once.
Right. So, only a boy. Okay. Well, it wasn't a boy.
It wasn't a boy.
It was a young man trying to, make out with his girlfriend.
On the couch, and you're interrupting him incessantly.
Maybe your fault.
Yeah, exactly. This is where I said, kids truly say the darndest things. Because he says, I have to go to Margaret's house because we're getting poor and my mom has to work.
Yeah.
Out of the mouths of babes,
He knows the situation at least.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean, does she once even allude to the fact that they're getting poor, or just that she has to go to work?
It just seems like they both work a lot.
Yeah.
Like, we happen to be gone on business.
He's a latchkey
all
kid.
All the time.
They're gone. He's up to his own devices.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. So he's astute. He's picking up on this stuff. He's making a couple of leaps to assume that they're actually getting poor, but they have a nice house.
They do.
They live in a nice neighborhood.
And a dog.
Yeah. Take it easy, Dennis. Maybe mom and dad are just doing their best, even though they're not doing great.
But they're trying, all right?
That's
Give them a break.
Exactly. Then the scene happens where Dennis goes into Mr. Wilson's bathroom.
Yep.
And he's playing with the dentures.
Yeah.
And it's just so...
You love it. I can tell.
As you can see, my eyes are firmly closed because I'm trying to block out the memory.
Like, oh, those dentures.
It's so horrifying.
You got a thing for teeth?
Between that and Switchblade Sam might as well have dentures. Like, you might as well give him the dentures. Like, it's not making him worse. It's only just adding to his whole aesthetic.
Although that's one of my favorite scenes when Mr. Wilson uses the nasal spray filled with mouthwash and
Dennis is trying to kill his ass.
His one eye goes cross-eyed. What acting? You cannot teach that. No. That is just skill.
Walter
to
Matthau
the
was
highest degree.
He was he should have won. He should have been one of the award winners.
He should have, not a Razzie either.
Not a Razzie, no.
And right before that, one of my favorite quotes, Dennis says, "My dad's so happy in the morning, he whistles when he goes to the bathroom. The only time he isn't happy is on Sunday mornings when he and my mom wrestle. They kind of like to be alone when they do that. I think it's because they take their shirts off." And then he keeps going and going and going.
How I missed that one, I have no idea.
Well, he explains in graphic detail Sunday mornings.
Well, he
Good
did
for them.
I do like his line later on where Mrs. Wilson asks him. I think it's just soon after that when he's asking him do you want me to come in and help you change? And she's
Not
not
unless you want to see what the storks are.
Yeah, I was like, that's a clever
Solid.
way of a dick joke. That's fine. I'm there with you. That's good. I appreciate it, Dennis. But
Despite the tub probably also being way too high.
So it's
I don't
making
think
me
we see the tub there, but it's
no,
high.
you do, and the water's like again 3 inches clearance.
Too much. It's too much.
And my blood pressure is rising. And then you get one of a few Mr. Wilson nut shots throughout the movie. This poor guy's nuts are just in
they
for the
get
beating
blasted.
of his life. This poor guy. No wonder he's upset with Dennis. I mean, for God's sakes, he's got to be icing, 3 out of 7 days a week.
Although at Dennis's, when he does get blasted in the nuts with the golf ball from the
shop
vacuum,
vac,
he rings the doorbell of the house. What was his plan?
The fair point.
To say, hey, I was snooping in your garage and got shot in the nuts.
Just want to run this by someone?
Yeah, I just want you to be aware.
Yeah. Just to let you know.
All right, have a good night. That's
Yeah.
it. We're done here.
I did enjoy Dennis and Mr. Wilson in his attic, kind of thumbing through stuff. You get the Butterfinger and the Chiclet scene. I'm like, oh, make your money, guys. Get your promotion.
Product placement.
Get your product placement. And the scene where everything falls down. Again, Mr. Wilson's nuts near end from the canoe dropping. But the Chinese lanterns at the end I thought I actually had a good laugh at that. Just a fun little like insult to injury. Just a little bit of
little tinkle down. And he was looking for them, so you're welcome. Dennis kind of helped him.
Again, he is equal parts not helping but helping. At the end with the flower,
I'll allow that.
He's admitting he's telling you your house got robbed.
Right.
He's doing both. He's
also,
a wash.
I kind of destroyed your whole spread for your garden party.
Maybe. Who's to say?
Yeah.
And again, this is the second time I'm writing. I hate Christopher Lloyd. Please make him stop. And then this is when you see him at the park and the cops come. I say, yes, the cops are here. Please arrest him. Why aren't you arresting him for being a living nightmare?
They're giving him the breeze.
Give him the breeze in the back of the fucking squad car.
Right. And he's just hanging out at a playground. You're
the
like,
cop,
that looks normal.
He's aware enough to know, I don't recognize you.
Right.
You shouldn't be here.
You're gross.
Don't just wag your finger at him. Get his ass out of town.
I wouldn't even let him touch the inside of the squad car.
Fair.
Lay down some like garbage bags first. Like, all right, hold on. Don't sit down yet.
You can come with me. Give me a minute. I got a 409 this
down.
thing. Yeah. And I was having a tough time at parts, and this is the first when I wrote the note. When is this movie supposed to be set? I know Dennis the Menace, the comic strip, is older.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad's kind of hairstyle and styles make it feel like it's from the 60s, but there's obviously phones and things that aren't there. So I just kind of go back and forth of like, what is the time of this movie supposed to be?
It seems like suspended in
So
time.
it is this just another world
It's
of
like a 90s that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Because some of the things they do too, like everyone's riding bikes.
Yeah.
Cam, that was the first thing that he said at the end of the movie when all the kids come like up to congratulate Dennis. He's like, why is everyone riding a bike? And I'm like, well, that's kind of what we did.
The 90s,
we just
man.
biked everywhere. And he's just like, why? Like, I don't know. It's faster than walking. I don't know what to tell you, man.
You won't.
Also, it's like 9:30 at night and they're all awake. I don't know.
Ready to go.
That's just what happens.
They're ready to go. Their bike is parked outside. They're just we ride.
At a moment's
we ride at 9.
Right. They have like bat signals for everyone.
Yeah, everyone pulls up their duck phones and they call each other. Which, by the way, I absolutely want that duck phone.
Oh, it's really good.
It's that's like heavyweights with the fire Marshal Bill T-shirt. This is another thing
duck
that I just want to pull
good.
from the duck from
hamburger phone from Juno.
Absolutely,
easily in my top 3 phones.
Definitely
ever.
Yeah, in history. Okay, so mom and dad Mitchell, they got to both go out of town at the same time. Dennis has to go somewhere. They call through the whole Rolodex of everyone. No one's there. It's we got to go to Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Wilson hat in hand and ask them.
Yep.
And Mrs. Wilson says absolutely. Their line to Mr. Wilson is, "You saved our lives." Mr. Wilson's response, "Saved 2, lose 1." And my question that is he going to kill Dennis or himself?
I think he meant himself.
Yes.
I don't know where their parents are. You know, what happened? Maybe that's a modern thing. We're like, hey, call up the grandparents.
Yeah.
See what they're up to.
Or they're out of state. No one's around.
I don't know.
They're always
no one else?
Yeah. Your first calls are all the local teenagers to not only watch them, but for days. Like, we're out of town.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, on a 13-year-old or something.
I think I would rather have the grandparents next door.
Yeah, and that's fair. But Mr. Wilson, not too pleased, to the point of he's playfully considering suicide. I said, "Damn, George, ease up. He loves you. He's hugging on you like
he does.
Like,
and then he's like, you have no idea how deeply moved I am." Again, someone pouring their heart out to you, being sincere, and you just come over the top as a dick.
Yeah, to open up your heart.
You got
George.
Everything that you had coming to you.
Right.
I don't feel bad for your nuts at all.
That's your nuts had
Write that down. Remember this.
I'm problematic.
Dennis eats at the beginning of the movie honey bunches of oats.
Solid cereal.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's good cereal. But he pours a bowl full of milk, and then he eats it by dipping one little flake at a time into the bowl and putting it in his mouth.
That would have made me so angry.
Are you a psychopath? First off, how long is that going to take you? Honey bunches of oats.
No wonder he gets along with Switchblade Sam so well. He is an actual little psychopath do that.
They're both psychopaths.
That's how Switchblade Sam eats his cereal.
I wouldn't be surprised. The beginning of the movie, Margaret tricks Joey into kissing her doll's butt.
Yep.
It's a gross butt.
Yeah.
For a doll.
Mm-hmm.
It looks freckly and old.
Yeah. It's an old doll.
I get it's like, and they say it's an antique.
Yeah.
And then to follow it up, Switchblade Sam steals that doll?
That very same gross doll.
What are you doing with that doll?
He's just showing the world how gross he really is.
Hey, I'm just a garbage human being. I'm going to take dolls. I'm going to steal gold. The gold I get.
Yeah.
The doll.
Easy, Sam.
I don't get that as much.
Yeah. Even the apple, you're hungry. But the doll doesn't check out.
And then finally, Mr. Wilson again, not doing so great in this movie.
No.
He says to Mr. Mitchell, when my old man had something important to tell me, he told me with his belt.
Yes.
Oh. I will keep that in mind for the next time that Dennis misbehaves.
Hey, you know what? Watch Dennis for the weekend, would you?
Yeah.
Beat his little ass.
Great idea. Here, I think I got a belt with a giant belt buckle at home.
Yeah,
Yikes,
that one stuck out,
up, man.
Yeah, one of George's. There's kind of little deep lines sprinkled throughout the movie, and one of the ones that George said that I enjoyed was, "Why is it when everyone else feasts on life's pleasures, I get the indigestion?"
Yeah.
I just the wordplay. I just enjoyed. Just something that stuck with me.
Mrs. Wilson, you know what she says after that? Because you're a grump.
She gets to the point. He's being eloquent, and she's just going, "You're fucking
you
crap,
suck.
man."
How are they married?
Listen, relationships are hard, and Mrs. Wilson's she's in for the long run. They've had their ups and downs. Those two.
Oh, clearly.
Yeah.
And no couples counseling back then. That was not a thing. So she's just gritting her teeth and bearing it.
Yep.
I feel bad for her.
Yeah, I do too. Mrs. Wilson, we're thinking of you.
Yeah.
George grabbing Dennis's head right before they have the garden party. He goes out to me. He's like, "Don't ruin this for me."
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. He's okay, fine. Well, then he grabs the back of Dennis's head and yanks it pretty good. And I was like, shit.
Yeah.
That comes out like,
it's getting serious.
Now we're amplifying this up a bit. Like, he really cares about this flower to the point of, I'm going to let this kid know. Like, you might as well have just shown your belt buckle to him. Like, that, I would have gotten the point.
It's also a flower.
Yeah.
So
yeah, take it easy, man.
Ease up, old man.
Yeah. I know he's absolutely annihilated your balls, but let's let sleeping balls lie. But then, so this is when we get, an absolute crushing line from George, which is, "You're a selfish boy who I have no use for. I don't want to see you. I don't want to know you."
Oh,
George,
wow,
man.
Get out of my life. Laying it on thick.
Listen,
he's 5.
He's 5.
That's rough if you're older.
I know I've been saying he's older than 5. I'm doubling back now. He's 5.
Yeah.
You can't, you know what? There's a story about a piece of paper, and when you crumple it up and you try to roll it out again, it's never the same again.
Never.
George.
There are creases.
Yeah. Remember that the next time you tell a kid he's useless to you, and he should just go piss off.
Rough.
And this is where I wrote in my notes, Switchblade Sam is in the running for worst kids movie character ever.
They do produce maybe my favorite back and forth, though. Mm-hmm. So when him and Dennis are together, whole scene is so good.
Yeah, it is
when
good.
They're under the bridge, and then he's trying to open the can of beans, and he tells Dennis to put a cork in it. You're giving me a headache. I don't have a cork. Shut your mouth. I can't because my nose is stuffy because of my allergies. If I shut my mouth, I can't breathe good. Then keep your mouth open, but don't talk. Where do you put a cork when you put a cork in it? Didn't I ask you to shut your yap? What's a yap? It's your mouth. I can't shut my mouth because my nose is stuffy. That whole exchange is like, that's exactly how a kid would respond. I don't know what a yap is either. So
That's what
these
I'm
are all
saying.
valid questions.
Mason didn't deserve a Razzie. He's perfectly
No.
nailing a kid.
Thank you.
Yes.
And if we're going to talk about the actor, there were 20,000 kids that
20,000
auditioned for this role. And you know why he won?
You see it. It's all he left it all on the screen.
During the audition, he pulled a live worm out of his pocket. And that inspired the casting crew. They were like, you know what? This kid's got it.
19,999 other kids.
Personified.
Not one with a single. Here's the thing. Just by those numbers alone, you have to think one of those kids went and found out later and went, I had a fucking worm in my pocket too. Why did I not?
I doubt that.
I could have pulled that thing out.
How many worms have you ever had in your pocket?
Not enough to bear a thriving movie career,
That's
evidently.
right. No.
And
I don't know if it was thriving, but one and done.
Mom and Dad are far too calm for Dennis being lost at night. They're like they go in for a good night's sleep. They hang up their hats. They say like we'll catch this thing in the morning. Like,
Yeah.
They look far too rested.
He's
in the morning.
probably fine.
He's probably fine. That Dennis, that little menace.
They do seem relieved when he comes home. I mean,
Sure.
maybe that speaks to his resiliency too.
True.
You know, like they've seen what he can do.
He's
so
done
they're
this too
probably
many
thinking
times.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of make the joke like, oh, if he ever gets kidnapped, they'd send him back. Kind of what happened.
Yeah, I guess.
So I
Maybe
don't
they
know.
do-
Maybe that's it.
They know their kid better than I do. That's for sure. Sam and Dennis are going back and forth. This is where Dennis teaches him how to tie a kid up. You know, I've been tied up lots of times. I said, lots of times,
Right.
Dennis?
Why?
What is your life?
I don't know. Who is tying you up?
Yeah, how many kidnapping situations have you been in to the extent where you know how to tie yourself up better than kidnappers do? And on the flip side, your parents either know nothing of any of these kidnappings or so many of them that it's just like it's another day, just another summer with Dennis.
And he makes a loop in case you have handcuffs readily available to just really, if you really don't want to get out. Oh, perfect. Now I'm terrified.
Who's the real psychopath?
How are you
here?
able to do this?
Switchblade Sam should have seen the writing on the wall. He should have said,
He's like, yikes, I need to get out of
you
this
know, I'm
situation.
going to take my canned beans and I'm going to hightail it out of here. Yeah, that was his warning, and he should have taken heed.
He really should have.
Yeah, Sam has been fed all the beans because the key to the handcuffs falls in the beans, so they have to eat through it all.
Well, yeah, you don't want to waste them. You can't just dump them out.
And I'm closing my eyes to try to black out his
gut
memory of his fucking belly,
Yeah.
man. His bean-covered face and his belly. I get it. He's supposed to be gross, but
And then he's like, you little worm. And it's...
every part of him makes me uncomfortable.
I will say this. I've seen a lot of horror movies.
Yeah.
That is easily the most disgusting human.
Yes.
Maybe or mutant.
Yeah.
An alien that I've ever seen.
That's what I'm saying. Toxie, the Toxic Avenger, replace him with Switchblade Sam. He is more horrifying
Gross.
by far. Like that, and that's what I'm saying. Like you do have him contrasted against Dennis. It is the clean-cut, happy little boy and this horrifying nightmare of a human. But he's so far. Like you could have pulled him back 6 stops and still gotten the idea that he's a bad guy.
Right.
He belongs in a sewer. He is a nightmare.
You have like a whole crew just dedicated to making him look as filthy as
that's what I'm
humanly
saying.
possible.
There had to be so many rounds of. This is what I wrote. Please don't show me that grown man's belly again. Please stop showing me that man's teeth. Please stop showing me Switchblade Sam. He's horrible. But what does he keep landing on in the creek there? A fridge?
It's like a floating. I think so.
Yeah,
I think it's
because it happened the first time, and I was like, oh, okay, and then it happened again. I was like, what? Did I miss a scene?
Do fridges float?
Again,
I suppose they have to.
They had to give him something like hard to keep him above water, so he doesn't. I guess, but I was just like, man,
Got
he's
to keep hitting himself on it.
Yeah. I was like, okay, all right. And that's what I wrote. The parents let Dennis just be gone all night and go in and get a good night's sleep, and we'll revisit this in the morning. No, not calling the cops. Nothing. This is where we get everyone.
Well, they have a search party.
Okay.
So I mean, ease up, Nick. And they were gone on business.
These parents are either from the 90s or 60s. Who's to say?
Right. Well, they're from a decade, and things are going on. Things are going on. I do have a question for you. When George Wilson goes to apologize for being such a dick to Martha,
yes,
he comes down the stairs thinking she's on the couch with her tea, and it's the dog.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever accidentally kissed your dog thinking it was Jen? Take a moment.
Recently? Like in the past month or so? I'd say no. My dogs are much smaller. They don't have long, shaggy hair. It'd be much harder to confuse the two.
Okay.
Yeah. But this movie brings up the issue, and I'm going to be all the more aware of not doing that again.
I think that's wise.
Have you ever accidentally gone for kissing Kristen and landed on Harley, the cat?
Not yet.
Fingers crossed.
But looking
Harley.
forward to it.
Papa's coming
Buckle
home.
up.
Dead or alive.
So this first one, sadly, I feel that Mr. Wilson, Walter Matthau.
Walter Matthau. He is passed.
Yeah, he's been dead for a while now.
Yeah.
So it still makes me sad. But yeah, he died in the year 2000, 79. Too soon.
That is too soon.
Also kind of a dick in this movie. So.
Also.
But moving on, we have the chief of police. His name is Paul Winfield.
Oh. He's passed.
He has. Dead at 64 in 2004, a heart attack.
That's
64.
way too young.
I didn't think he was that old. This
No.
shocked me.
No, absolutely.
He's a solid chief of police,
Yeah,
I think. All right, next, the photographer. His name is Arnold
Oh,
Stang.
he's dead. He's so dead.
He is dead at 91. Pneumonia in 2009.
Wow.
But he was 91 in 2009. I didn't think he looked that old in this.
I mean, in this movie, he's older than George. I can see, or he's close.
Well, he hit it well. I
Yeah.
thought he looked phenomenal.
He didn't look a day over 80.
Clearly, he exercises or, I don't know, exfoliates.
Yeah.
All right, Martha Wilson, Joan Plowright's her name.
We've had a lot of deadsies.
Yeah.
And what my gut tells me is that she has passed, but I want to believe, since she's just a super lady,
She is.
that she's
Really neat.
alive.
She's alive. 92 years old.
Wow.
Good for you, Joan.
Good job.
And then finally, we have Switchblade Sam.
Fucking Switchblade
Christopher
Sam. The
Lloyd.
character, he is a lot. He'll never leave because he's bore his way into my nightmares.
Oh, he's probably
my
like
subconscious.
sold to soul the devil.
Yeah.
So he's probably 832 years old.
Yeah.
But the actor Christopher Lloyd, who plays Switchblade
Is
Sam,
alive.
he's alive.
Yeah.
Look at you. 5 for 5.
I'm on to you.
Nick.
I'm on to you, Delbeck.
Oh my goodness. Good for you.
So let's creep our way into some casting options, shall we?
Yeah.
So
I didn't see any casting options.
I got some for you. So you touched on how many kids they
Yeah.
auditioned for Little Dennis. 10 were selected to test the role with Walter Matthau. Other potential castings for Mr. Wilson. Leslie Nielsen was offered the role. He had to turn it down because he was committed to surf ninjas.
I saw that. I don't think he could have played a grumpy neighbor, do you?
No, he's too silly.
He's more slapstick.
I love Leslie Nielsen, but for what...
And don't call him Shirley.
Don't you dare. Other potential considerations. This is a just absolute star-studded list. Tim Conway, Ed Asner, Jonathan Winters, and Mel Brooks all considered the role.
Huh.
But again, you need to have... I could see Mel Brooks being a grump. I could see Tim Conway. That was kind of his thing. Ed Asner, absolutely. They all kind of make sense. I see how you get to all of them. But I think Walter Matthau...
Can they grow as solid of a mustache,
Also,
though?
fair question.
That's what I want to know.
We don't know if this is a fake mustache situation.
Oh, it's
Rookie of the
real.
Year.
It is real.
He came to the set with that. So some considerations for Mrs. Wilson. Beatrice Arthur of Golden Girls fame. Co-star Betty White played Mrs. Wilson in Dennis the Menace Strikes Again. For just a fun little fun fact for you. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Another consideration for Switchblade Sam. For people who've played other kind of scary, intense people from the 90s. Anyone come to mind?
Michael Keaton?
You got to think dark, think scary, think like a guy who's in a musical who's dressed in drag.
Tim Curry?
Tim Curry, considered for Switchblade Sam.
I don't know.
I'm happy he didn't. I'm happy. I'm happy to not tie him.
Good career move too.
I mean, listen, he's had a boisterous career himself. He's been all over the place, but I don't know. I don't know about Switchblade Sam.
Also, though, the John Hughes connection. He was in Home Alone 2. Okay.
Now we go to trivia, facts, mythology.
I got one.
Yeah.
The actor Mason Gamble lost 2 teeth while filming, so he had to wear fake ones until the movie was finished.
Were they chiclets?
I don't think so, but I cannot confirm or deny that.
He lost 2 teeth, they didn't get knocked out. He just lost.
Yeah, I think which, is that a problem? What, for continuity, you just can't have a kid lose teeth in the movie?
The Tooth Fairy visitor last. Easy cover up.
Whatever.
It seems like less work to add the line than it is to get the prosthetic teeth, but yeah, fair enough.
I guess not.
So in the United Kingdom, this movie was initially titled Dennis to avoid confusion with the identically named character from the British children's comic The Beano. This movie has since been released online in the UK under its American title, and along with the DVD and online releases of Hank Ketchum's character. The Beano character is now published as Dennis the Menace and Gnasher. If you want that little fun fact. In case you're ever in the UK and need to strike up a conversation.
I think there's a sequel to this too, where the kid from Liar Liar, who also plays a sequel in Home Alone, he's in all those.
He's the cleanup batter.
I guess.
Yeah.
Which is it's a role, but
it's a way to make money.
Sloppy seconds.
Yeah. During a Q&A in 2013, Christopher Lloyd stated that the scene where Switchblade Sam eats the beans and jumps into the pond was originally not in the script.
He just ad-libbed it?
He wung it. He winged it.
He was on fire and just had to put it out?
Yeah. Yeah. After being in this movie, kids would call Walter Matthau Mr. Wilson for the rest of his life.
I mean, how do we know that? It just seems like...
Doesn't check out.
Really?
No. I mean, when you see something gets just, wiggles its way into your brain.
How many kids is he seeing after that?
Plenty. He's got to be neighbors with them, and he hates all of them.
I don't want to see you. I don't want to know you.
Something that doesn't check out for me, Jim Delbeck, that is your name.
Uh-huh.
In the comics and the cartoon, Dennis hates taking baths.
I saw that, and I question that. Maybe that's why the water's so high.
Yeah.
They're hoping he drowns. I don't know. I don't know.
Also, I think someone slipped a snide remark into the IMDb trivia. They said Christopher Lloyd refused to eat the beans in the film as he was too full from chewing all of the scenery whenever he was on screen. I was like, is this Wikipedia? Did someone just slip in
Chewing
like a
the
joke?
Scenery.
Yeah, meaning like he took over the scene. I was like, Listen, all right, I didn't like Switchblade Sam as much as the next person, but that's not on Christopher Lloyd. That's on how they dressed him up. So for problematic, I had Gunther. You're probably not getting a cross-eyed joke anymore.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
But it is pretty funny.
I mean, listen, it checks out, and it makes Mr. Wilson all the more of an asshole to make the joke.
What is the ice cream store? Is that what you refer to it? If you're like, hey, we're going to the ice cream store?
Oh, because Mr. Wilson says you're going to the ice cream.
Yeah, like, is that what you would call it? Not like ice cream shop
ice
or
cream
like...
shoppy? Yeah, ice cream store. Ice cream store sounds like you're making up a lie.
Store,
like your dad called, you need to go get pants at the pants store. Yeah, it's obviously you're telling a lie.
It just seems...
Yeah.
Gunther should have put that together.
Well,
also, what time of night is it? You think you're going to stop hide and go seek to go to the ice cream store?
Well, a kid hears ice cream and that's all he needs. So Gunther, you've got some fat jokes. George yanking Dennis's head pretty violently.
Aggressive.
And Switchblade Sam is my...
I'll
let everything else go.
So is he your least favorite character then? I'm taking it, Switchblade Sam?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will say I don't even really have a least favorite character. I would have said initially Polly the babysitter.
Oh, come on.
I think is like a throwaway. I'm serious.
Switchblade Sam doesn't even crack the list for you.
Seems pleasant to me. I don't know. I don't have a problem with him. I don't know what your deal is. But then even Polly says, my girlfriend babysat for Dennis and told me to bring a helmet and wear pants. Yeah. That's a funny line.
Absolutely.
So Polly is good in my book.
Polly's good.
And yeah, Switchblade Sam, I think misunderstood.
Here's what I have for the good. Me never having to see Switchblade Sam again. The bad, every scene that Switchblade Sam is in.
Sounds like you're on the fence about him.
Yeah, him and Jareth. I think I'm going with Jareth every time. I'm letting Jareth watch my kids.
Well, he can sing. And he clearly holds babies very well. Yeah. So, yeah, if we're comparing Jareth to Switchblade Sam, it's not a competition.
Here's the question. Here's what I have to you. Who is more scarred for their whole life? Toby in Labyrinth or Gunther from...
It sounds like Gunther. Gunther did not want to approach Christopher
Toby was
Lloyd.
little. He has time to watch that
memory.
out. Gunther, he's carrying that. Anytime anybody walks by his yard that kind of resembles Switchblade Sam, or someone like flips open a switchblade...
I tried to look and see if Gunther was in any other movie.
Yeah.
I don't think he was. He's
shame.
Probably in therapy.
Yeah. I'd say.
Sequels, prequels, spin-offs, and such.
So obviously there's the Dennis the Menace Strikes Again. What I did find was that the film also spawned a video game for the Super Nintendo and Game Boy platforms. It includes stages based on Mr. Wilson's house, the great outdoors, and a boiler room, among other things. So, for such a fan of the movie, I'm surprised you didn't own the video game as well.
How dare you? I owned all of them.
For all the different systems.
And I beat them.
Appropriately rated, reviewed. Yes, it is a 27%. I agree. Or a 5 out of 10. I'll take one of those two. I'll flip a coin. 5 out of 10. You know what? I'll round up. I'll give the 5 out of 10.
So you seem to have a big issue with it, but you're bringing up so many things that were funny or that you liked. I think, like Roger Ebert, I think Switchblade Sam is just completely like putting a veil over where you can't appreciate everything else.
Yeah.
So if he was out of the movie...
This is their gymnastics routine. You're docked points. Yes, to your point.
If he was out of the movie, would you just be like, this is a solid kids movie?
Yeah, I would have said... It is probably like a 6 out of 10. Like this movie's not pissing me off. Switchblade Sam is so aggressively horrifying that it takes me away from it. This would have been a fine and a good kids movie. Not better than some other ones with little kids, Little Rascals and things like that. I don't think it's cracking that top notch, but I think it's good. It does the trick. Sam does not do the trick.
I was not expecting that take at all. I'll be honest. There are better kids movies. I don't know that I enjoy them more than this.
Sure.
This, I just feel like the snappy one-liners, the kids' interaction, everyone is cast, I think, absolutely perfectly. From the Mitchells to the Wilsons, all the kids. Apparently not Switchblade Sam in your book, but Mickey,
evidently
Polly.
he's cast perfectly if the intention is to horrify.
And it sounds like it might be. I think everyone is so spot on with their performance. The delivery is so good. I thoroughly enjoy this movie. Watching it again, easily I would watch it. You know, if Cam wanted to put it on this week, I'd be like, bust it out.
Who needs to put it on? 2, 3, 4, and I just redo the whole
act it out to you.
Thank you for listening. Please follow, rate, review, like, and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media. Tune in next week when we review another cinematic masterpiece from our childhood. Until then, hey Mr. Wilson.